Welcome back to WagerTalk.com. I'm your host, Marco D'Angelo, joined by Bryan Leonard of WagerTalk. And Bryan, NBA tanking. It's a touchy subject because for the fan base, is it fair that your team's going out there and not giving their best effort? You're paying top dollar for a ticket to watch them, but then in essence, they are trying to help you by getting you a better product down the road, but you're paying for it now. What's your feelings here?
I think it's a misconception that teams are not giving the best effort. The players are giving their best effort. This is what they do for a living. If you play for Philadelphia or one of these teams, the Lakers, whatever, you're coming out to win every single game. Now, it's management, and a lot of times it's the coaching staff that is doing the tanking, because the coaching staff obviously can tell you who's going to come out and play in that game. This guy tweaked his ankle a little bit. No, we'll set you on the side. You don't have to come in. If you're San Antonio a little bit, say, okay, we're not worried about the regular season. It's not actually tanking, but it's something that's going to get to the end result of what you want. If you've got older players, you're not going to play them every day. There's been talk this year, Golden State's got this great record, and Golden State is starting to do that now, where every once in a while they'll rest a guy in that situation. But it's not the players. The players want to go out there, not only do they want to win, they want to get their contracts extended, whether they're going to play for this team. They want everything good on tape, or somebody else down the road can say, hey, I saw this guy playing for this team, and he plays very well. Let's bring this guy in. So I don't like the whole tanking thing, but you are right. If you're Philadelphia right now and you're getting all these draft choices, I believe it's 15 number 2s and like 7 number 1s, that's great. Problem is, the people that are buying season tickets right now are not getting a good product. And I watched a game the other day. Cleveland was on the road, and I don't know if it was in Detroit or somewhere else, but a team that's not doing well, it was like a home game. And I remember being from Cleveland, how many years every other team's fans came in, whether what sport it was. It was so frustrating as a home team fan to see people come in and root for the opposition.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. Going back to Philadelphia with all those draft picks, with all the draft picks and all of this, when they do get all of these top players, are they going to be able to afford all of them? If you've got that many number 1s and number 2s, you're going to eventually hit the salary cap too.
Well, you don't pay a lot early, and it's just similar. We're going to talk about some fantasy handicapping in a minute. It's similar to that. Anytime you've got draft picks, and there's been some great articles written on this in the past, future hope for these draft picks is higher than what you have now. So you could get certain teams that will want, they say, I got to have that draft pick, I got to have that number 1. This young guy, he's going to be a stud. That is an advantage, whether you're playing fantasy sports or anything, because when you're drafting minor leaguers, you got these guys are studs. These guys are going to be the next coming of Babe Ruth. Well, they're not always that way. Right. So the value on these draft picks is higher than what most people think. So you can easily trade. If Philadelphia gets to that point where they can bring in a guy that's a good player, he doesn't make a lot of money, you can say, okay, we've got these draft picks to dangle. They're obviously not in that position now, but in a couple of years they may be.
The final thing, and we got to wrap this up because we are a betting show. Mm-hmm. So how does this affect us as bettors? I got a couple thoughts of how I look at some of these teams that have the so-called label of tanking. And when a team, and we'll use Philadelphia for an example because that's the one that everybody's talking about. When Philadelphia is playing a really good team and people know they're tanking, I think the line's too high in many cases, and the team that they're playing, the good team, thinks it's almost like a day off. We just have to show up, and we're going to win the game. And as you said, the players want to win, but they're playing a good team. So there's really no chance that they're going to actually win that game. So the coach doesn't have to manipulate the lineup, so to speak, and he can keep the players in there. And I think they have a better chance of sneaking in under the number in those type of games where the general public would think the other way and say, oh, they're just going to get drilled because they're playing a good team. Because I think it's a combination of an overinflated line, which that's always positive EV. We talk about if you're getting the better of the number. And two, if you've got a disinterested team laying points, that's positive EV over the course of time. So those are two situations that benefit. Where I think it's best to go against a tanking type team is when they play a middle of the road team, a team that's not good enough to look past anybody, but not bad enough that they're in the lottery chase. Those teams are going to come out and take care of business, and because that game is a middle of the road game, as you said, if the coach is manipulating the lineup, that's a game where he's going to manipulate it more to make sure he doesn't accidentally get a win.
Two quick things here. That brings the money line into account. I think there's value on going against the tanky teams on the money line because they're in the game, not always to win it, but they can still cover, as you pointed out. And the second thing, talking about Philadelphia, going into the break, they were playing really good defense. They traded away probably their best all-around player. Since they've come out of the All-Star break, this team is not playing any defense at all. I think the players have realized, we're doing the best we can. They're not giving us a chance. Let's just go out and pad our numbers. Look to play Philadelphia games over at this point.
All right, good stuff. All right, hope that helps you out with some of these issues of how to handle these tanking teams with your betting. He's Bryan Leonard. I'm Marco D'Angelo. We'll be right back. One more informational video on betting. We're going to talk fantasy sports next.